Welcome to Paulstoolbox. Today I have some cool projects, or a cool project. I'm going to be working on a seat for my shower, and I'm going to make it out of concrete. I'm using my Works Pegasus sawhorses, and I'm going to be using my Works Exact Track saw. Cool tools by Works, and I'm going to have some giveaways at the very end of this video. So let's get started. They have two settings on this saw. You have standard and exact track. This is the standard position where it locks in place. You push it to exact track and this will slide up. Pull your guide up and right on that line. We're going to do this a simple way. I'm going to box it in, and I want this to be 1.5 inches thick. So I need to add 3/4 of an inch to that. So we're going to have this 2 1/4 inches, each one of these strips. I'm just going to use a little 1 1/4 inch all-purpose screw. I just want to attach it on there for the concrete. I think it's going to be strong enough. I'd rather use 1 5/8 or something different, but I have tons of these coarse thread 1 1/4 screws. So that's what I'm going to use. Now I will take my finger and just hold on the edge right here because I want to split the difference. That's about 3/8 of an inch. And it's a 3/4 inch piece. So that gives me a line to go off of when I set my screws in. This is the exact size of my base piece that I'm going to use, the concrete. It's the exact size of my concrete. Then I just made a frame around it, and it's just butted up. All my pieces screw in right here. I personally don't seal it because this is just concrete. If it was like my epoxy that I pour, I have to run silicone on here. I totally understand if people run silicone because it may give a nice smooth transition around, but I can just knock that end off when I'm finished. There's no big deal. This right here, like I said, might have a tiny ridge and you just have to clean it off. So it's whichever way you want to do it. If you want to put silicone in there, great. If you don't want to, you do not have to. Well, we're ready to mix the concrete or the mortar mix for this. And I want to especially thank Michael from Michael Builds. I checked out his channel. This guy is fantastic with concrete, and he uses this for his tables. I've never used it before, but when I looked at his video, I was blown away. This guy is excellent. If you really want to check out his videos at Michael Builds, I'm going to have the link in the description box below. You can check him out. You're going to love his channel. All right, now we're going to get back to this. This rapid set. It is super strong. You don't even have to rod it with this, and I've always used rods with mine to strengthen it or mesh. I'm going to pour it in this, but my bottom is going to be my top, and my top is going to be the bottom. I'm not going to flip it upside down. The reason why I'm not doing that is because I want to add this fleur-de-lis into mine, and I'm going to take and push it down into the top where once I have the concrete in there, or the mortar mix. I want to put epoxy on top of this and make it look like it's under glass. There's a few ways to mix this up. You can mix it up with a mixer like this. This one I use for drywall all the time. They have a heavy one like this. This is made for concrete, but let me tell you something. This is pretty stout and it's tough on a small drill. I would recommend using a high torque drill for something like this. This drill right here, it's not a really expensive one. I think it's about 80 bucks. It's high torque. Low RPMs, but high torque, so it won't burn the drill up. I have something really important that I almost forgot. You want to use flow control. One of these little packets per bag of concrete or mortar mix. And that's going to make this loosen up really well to where you can work with it. Don't let it fool you. Don't let it sit in the bucket for 5 or 10 minutes before you come working on it, because you're going to have a problem. Have everything set up. Take this, mix it in there, and then come back right directly in and pour it, because it sets up super fast. It may look soupy for about a minute or two, and then all of a sudden you see it start setting up. So make sure you use it fast. Now, if you're using a large top, don't use flow control. use set control. This is in a green packet. Set control. Set control is going to allow you to more time to work with it, so it won't set up as fast. Of course, you use this with your rapid set 1 hour, you can pop it right out of your form. But if you're doing a big countertop, you don't want this thing setting up in an hour. You want to have a little time to work with it, because a large top you have to work with a little more. Make sure you use the set control. Both of these are available at Home Depot. That's where they sell the rapid set. This is rapid set mix for CTS concrete and mortar mix. Just go right down to Home Depot. These are about $2.50, $3 a pack, rather than $8 a pack online. That's one thing where you're not saving going online. So right now the only place that I've seen is Home Depot to get it from. All right, another thing, real important. Make sure you use a good level. You want to level your section out when you pour it, your forms. Get it all set and then make sure it's level, because you don't want to have uneven concrete. It thickens up and you can kind of slope it if you want, but it's best just to have it level right off the bat. My favorite level is this one right here when I'm working with epoxy and when I'm working with these concrete forms. This is a little Swanson level. It has a light on it. Cool little level. I like the light because it makes it easier for me to see everything daytime or nighttime. I can see the bubble a lot easier. And I'm a little older. If you're young, you might not need a light, but I like it. Let's get started on this. Well, we have everything we need. I have my bag right here, a mortar mix. I'm gonna use one little bag of flow control. This stuff costs about $3, $2.50. Works great. It's gonna loosen it up to where we can work with it. 5 quarts of water per bag. So I already have it in a bucket right here. We're gonna just drop this in and mix it up. You can get a tray like this for about $12, $13 at Home Depot. They're great for mixing up small things like this. Now you see how it's nice and soupy? You want to make sure you don't have any clumps in there. If you do, smash them down. That's it. She's about ready. Make sure you clean this your equipment up before you set this on the side, because it sets fast. So this is all clean, I'm good. Now I'll put a line right down the center, and I'm going to push this down a little bit in there. I'm going to set this on the side for a minute, take it outside and rinse it as soon as I get this part done. So now, I'm just going to trowel it out. In fact, I got my son right here to help me. Hey bud, can you take and rinse that out over there? Sure. David's going to take care of it for me. You got to let him see you. I got David helping me. He's going to go rinse this out. Perfect. In fact, I might, let's see. Get it all the way around on all 4 corners. I have plastic right here, so anything that gets on the top of this is not going to hurt anything. While it's still wet, we'll go all the way around. Tap it good. This way you make sure you don't have any bubbles in there. Any piece of board will do. This is just a piece of baseboard. You just want to run it along right here and screed it out. I don't want too much to come over yet. If I have too much on there, I will go ahead and pull it off. This is looking really good. This stuff sets up super fast. So what we're going to do now is line up my marks. I have my mark here and here, and I want to get it centered. Before it gets rock hard, I'm going to tap it down. Now we're going to take this thing and start sprinkling it down. We want to keep it wet. I want to make sure it's tacked up pretty decent before I wet it. It's been about 40 minutes. I'm still wetting it down every few minutes as it dries. And I'm going to try to take this out. It's getting a little hard. I want to make sure that I can get this out. Wish I did not have this piece in here. I should have broken it out. That way I would have had the final piece right there. So if I ever do this again, I'll know better. I was lucky enough to have a little bit left over, so I'll spray some mist in it. I'll put it in the bottom of this little bucket. Let me dry that because it's a little bit too soupy. Get this dry. And I'll put it right in here and try to shape this. It's alright, we'll work it. I'm going to let that get a little bit harder. I have a little bit too much water in it. And then I will take it and shape it to that corner. That fills it. I can work with that. This edge I smoothed over with my stone. This is a 20 grit stone that you can purchase at Depot, Lowe's, any one of your home improvement places should have it. They run about $12, $13. This will smooth off and round over the edges. And I'm just going to hit all four sides. You'll see. See how this is not smoothed over yet? Well, check this out. All my pieces are done for less than $100. Now, this right here is a little insert that I bought for, I think, $15 at a store. And I left it in this one. This one, I pulled it out. I want to tell you, when you do this, you have to wait a little time till it kind of sets. And you can push on it without it denting it. Unless you push really hard. You could just touch it without denting it. Then I took and put it down there with my wooden mallet. You could use a rubber mallet, and I tapped it in. Then I cleaned up the edges with a screwdriver, a flathead screwdriver, so the concrete wasn't sitting over it where I could pry it back out. You have to pry this back out a little while later, and that way I have a stamp in there. So I hammered it down to where it was flush in here. Now, this one is going to be my seat. That's why I wanted it flush. This one I wanted to protrude, so I left the piece in here. This is like a custom job, and it cost me $100. You can't beat it. It's very easy to do. Just follow the instructions. I poured concrete in the past, and I didn't use, I used MDF, and I didn't spray oil on it. Spray oil on the base, especially. MDF is really good. I put a little bit of oil on it, pops off, or even without the without the oil, it pops off the sides real easy. But on the bottom, when you have a large surface, it wanted to stick a little bit on there. I popped it with a hammer, but you got to be careful. You don't want to take a thin piece like the one on the bottom and start popping it with a hammer, because you might break it before it sets up completely. It's 2,000 psi when you first pull it out an hour later, but it gets stronger as time goes on. So if you take that when it's kind of weak and vulnerable, you start hitting it with a hammer to get the pieces off of it, you may break it. So oil it down. Jack Segreto, a good buddy of mine, he's my #1 fan. Actually, I'd say I'm his #1 fan. He called me up and said, Mr. Paul, You got over 200,000 subscribers. You hit the 200,000 mark. I didn't even think about it. So, Jack, you won yourself a $50 gift card, and I want to give away some other things. This is one. This is a work saw that I use to make these molds. Fantastic little saw. You really got to check it out. Made by Works. So make sure you drop a comment, because I'm going to choose 3 winners from the comments, and 3 people are going to have this saw. This is a 20-volt cordless saw by Works with the exact track feature that no other saw has. Great little tool. When you put it in a regular position, it locks just like a regular circular saw. 6.5-inch blade, and it's a pretty powerful little saw for what it is. I really like it a lot. I use it all the time, and I'm sure you will too. If you don't mind, hit like for me. I'll see you guys on the next project. Don't forget to subscribe. Check out Paulstoolbox.com for all my archive videos. And thanks again. Now it's time to have a little fun with my son's skateboard. I don't know if I'm too old to ride it anymore. I'll see you guys later.